Hello, everybody. I'm David Thomas, and this is Brent Smith sitting over here across from me. Brent is a candidate for Bedford County Commissioner, District 5, and I want to let everybody know, Brent, that this is a Chevrolet Now program, and Chevrolet Now remains in complete editorial control of this. And we just want to make sure everybody understood that Brent does run for office, and that we welcome anybody to sit down in front of this camera, and we will provide equal opportunity for that and equal time. So we just wanted to let everybody know. And before we get into today's conversation, Brent, I'd like to thank our sponsors, 580 Graphics here in Shelbyville and Dennis Young Insurance. When we come back, we're going to talk about finances, man. Finances, county budgets, city budgets, government budgets in general. And we're going to talk about how it affects our lives and what we need to look ahead for, what's coming around the curve here. But before we do that, let's hear from our sponsors. Thanks for tuning in today. We'll be right back.
Looking to make your brand stand out? At 580 Graphics in Shelbyville, we turn your ideas into bold, professional results. From custom logo design to screen printing, embroidery, vehicle wraps, decals, banners, and signage, we handle it all in-house with precision and fast turnaround. Whether you're a small business, a church group, a sports team, or a growing company, our experienced design team works with you every step of the way to bring a vision to life. We don't just print graphics. We help you get noticed. Exceptional service, eye-catching design, results that speak for themselves. Visit 580 Graphics today and let your brand make a statement.
Get the results you want with the personalized service you deserve at Dennis Young Insurance Agency.
As a local independent agency, we offer coverage from several different companies, including Erie. So whether it's auto, home, life, personal, or business, we can find the right coverage to meet your unique insurance needs. And with a rate lock advantage, your rates won't go up as long as you do not change drivers, autos, or addresses. Contact us at Dennis Young Insurance Agency, insuring Shelbyville and surrounding areas since 1988.
All right, again, we want to thank our sponsors, Dennis Young Insurance and 580 Graphics here in Shelbyville. Brent, before we dive into our topic of the day, I'm just going to ask you, how are things out on the campaign trail? What's been going on? What are you seeing around? What are you hearing?
No, things are good. I think people are engaged. They're realizing that there is a pretty important election coming up. And, we had the big event with the sheriff's race last week. And from what I heard, that went really well. I think the folks that I'm talking to, they're just looking forward, I think, to some changes in our county government. And I think the overall feeling is still folks wanting to know more about each candidate. But the overall feeling that I'm getting, the vibe I'm getting, is that people are excited, especially with the governor's race and the congressional race, a part of this election coming up.
Well, let me ask you this, and this all candidates at this point, do you feel like that the overall majority of people that have decided they've got to vote have already made their choice? And is there anything that can change their mind at this point?
That's a loaded question. It's kind of all over the place. In some races, I do think that's true. I think there's people that are clearly on either side of the fence and they know who they're voting for. Mm-hmm. I think some of the other races, people are still open to hear what each candidate has to offer, right, how they will represent those folks. And probably the only other thing that I hear is that it's just hard to find information out on candidates. And,
right,
let's face it, if you're not on Facebook or if you don't take the paper or both, it is kind of hard to figure out what's going on. And so that's one thing that I'm hearing. And so I think that's why it's so important to just, as a candidate, to be engaged and to be out there as much as you can.
Yeah. So I know there's been a lot of events. It seems like this election cycle, there's had more Meet the Candidates events than I've ever seen.
10 times as many events.
Okay,
yeah.
So going back to the time that you ran for office before, the mm-hmm. 2 times before, how much has that escalated? Is it, you said 10 times more? I mean,
conservatively, and I'll have to hand it to the businesses and to businesses like yours, businesses like Farm Bureau.
Right.
Lots of people have been pitching in to just support candidates, to get out and just have conversations, from the fire halls to all the different organizations out there. I think they're really making a great effort to get the candidates out in front of the folks and ask the hard questions, right, and just give the folks a chance to meet and greet all these different candidates. And don't forget about the local community centers too.
Yeah,
Flat
all these,
Creek,
yeah.
you know, I mean, just all over the board with just overall more activities and more chances to see your candidates and to meet with them.
Okay, so what events are coming up? Are there still some left between now and early voting start? Or
I know in my district there's not a lot left. Maybe you've heard of some more. Yeah. I mean, I think we're kind of winding down on that. I do think there's some things at the fire halls coming up. I think there's one in War Trace coming up here pretty soon. But other than that, I'm not sure what else.
Do you
is
think
happening.
that the county fair could have a big presence of candidates? I know that's going to be coming up just as, I guess, right as the early voting starts and before. I can't remember the dates now, but
I think
coming
so.
up.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm anxious to see how that turns out this year.
Me too.
So early voting starts pretty soon. We're what, 3 or 4 weeks away, and it's off to the races.
17th, right? That's when it starts.
Yep. July 17th. So the topic of the day I want us to just kind of discuss openly is financial conditions of small government. You look at rural governments like Bedford County and the city of Shelbyville. You look at Coffee County. You look at Giles County, Maury County, Marshall, Lincoln, all these small southern Middle Tennessee counties. I think they're all facing a crisis coming soon as far as finances go. You've got so much of the way things were done back 30, 40 years ago. And if we continue that trajectory, Brent, I think we're going to be in some crisis if we don't figure out a different way. And we specifically are looking at Bedford County budget now. So have you looked at the budget? And if so, what are your concerns at this point? I mean, when you just at a 30,000 foot view, what do you see that you say, man, we need to look at close? What are your thoughts?
Yes, I think you nailed it. I think business as usual, the way we've done things forever and ever, we're going to be forced to change those habits. One of the things in my campaign, and this isn't an answer to answer all answers,
right,
but one of the things that I'm stumping on is a line item budget. And for those that don't know what that is, basically the comparison between a line item budget and what we do now is you would just take every department, David, just line by line. So we would take the police department. We would take each department line by line and look at their needs and take care of them first. Make sure that schools are taken care of, make sure roads are taken care of, our police, our fire, all of these things that we have to even have a civilization here in Bedford County, right? And make sure and collaborate with each one of those departments to make sure we're not getting hit all at once with expenditures, to make sure that those expenditures are being managed appropriately. So if I kind of put a bow on this, I think if we were to do it line by line, not only would county employees probably get, more raises more often, not only would fire trucks be able to be purchased probably on a more regular basis, police taking care of with their cruisers, I think it would really help us identify the straight up needs of our county and eliminate some of the pork that's fluffed into some of these bigger bills.
Right.
That is always in there. And you may say, well, that was only a couple of $1 million for that project.
Hey, a couple $1 million. What are you talking about? We got to start looking at pennies here.
Yeah, we do. And we need to look at things that are the most important, like our roads, for example. Our roads are a disaster. And it's hard to get to school if you got a bad road. It's hard for the police or fire department to get to you if you got a bad road. I live off Cathy Road. And man, there's some places in there, if you're not paying attention, you'll end up 30, 40 feet down in a ditch.
Yeah, it's not good.
And so I just think that is one way. I'm not saying it's the only way, like I said earlier, but I think that's one way we could really shore up our budget process. And David, it would eliminate some of the factions that we see. People get lined up on 1 or 2 issues, and that's just where they stay versus looking at the bigger picture.
Right. Yeah. I've been following this pretty close now for the last 12 years or so as far as the budget goes. And it's always like this. And I've been a part of finance committees of other organizations. And this is the way it is. You get the budget and you start preparing for the next year. Well, the natural spot that you start from is where you left off. This is what we got last year, so we got to at least have that. And I was reading some different thoughts today, reading some articles on some counties actually going back to zero and starting with zero and saying, okay, let's look at every department from a zero standpoint. What do we got to have to function? They're going back and saying, we got to start this over. They realize what's coming because they see that property taxes could escalate out of control. Do you think that's a viable way of doing it?
I think it's definitely an option to look at. I think there's one thing that I know, David. From the time you're born to the time you die, in this country, you are taxed to the max.
Right.
I mean,
No question.
You're taxed on the house you already own. You're taxed on food. You're taxed on your labor. You're taxed on your gas. I mean, it's just
you're taxed on your tax.
You're taxed on your tax. You got to pay somebody to do your taxes if you own a business, more than likely, because it's so complicated. And so it's just getting to the point now. I mean, and this is no secret. There's some states where they're approaching 45, 50% of tax rate.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's just unbelievable. Here's maybe the good news. We continue to grow. Bedford County continues to grow. And I think there is going to be some positive growth here, especially if we play to our strengths, like our agriculture, our horse industry, just the beauty of our county. I think there's a tourism in here that could be really beneficial for our county. And I think businesses eventually, good, clean businesses, are going to want to relocate to Bedford County because it's just too darn expensive up in Davidson County and even, Rutherford County now. And so I think we're going to see an increase in tax monies coming in. And so I don't necessarily think we need to go down the road of a wheel tax or higher property taxes because that's just going to infuriate folks.
Yeah, that's going to run people off too. I mean, if people are trying to escape that and they arrive to it, they're not going to. Well, they're going to look somewhere else too.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that that we're taxed higher than California. Of course, we're not. But we could end up very much like Rutherford County, which we're headed that way, and Williamson County. Some of the higher rates around.
And we don't have near the services.
No, we don't have. No. And the demographics are not the same. I mean, still, the DNA of Bedford County is a different demographic. Yep. I mean, the DNA of Rutherford County is different than it is of Bedford. And we've got folks coming in. And I see a lot of us, and I've talked about this many times on different shows and to different people, we need to concentrate on spending our money in Bedford County instead of sending it to other counties.
Agreed.
I mean, if we're going to try to get our roads better, if we're going to try to have the best services that whatever it might be, whether it's fire, whether it's the sheriff's department, or whether it's EMS, we want the very best we can. Well, the way we pay for part of that is keep our tax dollars here and not send them to Rutherford County. Rutherford County's mayor actually did a verbal thank you.
I saw that.
To Bedford County.
I saw that.
That's not right, man.
No.
I mean, it was almost like kind of in your face, sort of. It was kind of funny in a way, but it's sad in a way.
It is. But I do think, I mean, I've been saying this for the past few years. I am bullish on our county. I think our best days are ahead of us. And I think that's why it's so important on who we vote for.
Yeah.
Because this county commission in the county is going to have huge impact, not only on taxes and how the school's funded and all of our other departments, but it's going to have impact on what businesses are or are not brought to the county and what developments are or are not going to be brought to the county or be brought to the county. And I'll just give an example on development, for example. If Mr. Jones, Farmer Jones, sells his 500-acre farm and there's a bunch of good soil up there and it perks, the chances of him selling that to a big development are pretty high, especially if it perks. And so you're going to be looking at anywhere between 500-600 homes, and that's on acre to a half-acre lot. And we have to expect some return, I think, from the developers that come to town to put some skin in the game with, hey, maybe this little tiny country road that was built 80 years ago, designed for Farmer Jones and 5 or 6 of his neighbors, maybe that's not the best road to put a 500 or 600 home development on. And if we decide as a county and the community decides that that's good for our county, well, then that developer needs to pitch in money to help improve that road.
Yeah.
And that developer needs to pitch in money to set aside money for a new school because you're going to need it with that many kids, whether it's land or whether it's just raw greenbacks. And so that's the way we need to start thinking. And you can disagree with that thought process that I'm having, but look around at the other counties that haven't used that kind of thought process, and they're in the predicaments that they're in. Outrageously high taxes, like in Nashville. Outrageously high taxes.
Yeah.
because they have to pay for all these services, David.
One thing I was thinking about developments on some of these old roads. It's happening in Bedford County. I know of 2 or 3 areas where there's large developments being planned and have already been started, that there's not even a shoulder on the road that leads to these. And you're talking about throwing a lot of traffic on a road that it doesn't even have a shoulder.
Yeah.
Like you say, the road was cut through 80 years ago.
Yeah.
Nothing's changed since then.
Right.
Well, there's the opportunity for the developers to improve the land in which they're developing and getting to it. That's a perfect opportunity. So,
it's no different than good like corporate citizenship. We've got some good corporate citizens here in Bedford County. I think of one in particular, Cooper Still.
Yeah.
I mean, they're knocking it out of the park as far as being a good, corporate citizen here. And I think with these developers, if it's approved and if it makes sense for us, I think they've got a chance to really build a bridge with the community and make the community better if that's the direction that the county wants to go and the constituents and the voters want to go in.
and likewise, the city should be doing the same thing too. We should be hand in hand.
Yeah, and need to be on the same page and working very closely together with any kind of development, because it does affect all of us, not just the city and not just the county.
Okay, so you alluded to this earlier. It's going to be very important who we vote for.
Yes.
We need to put the right people in those seats to represent us, to go in that direction. If this is the way the people would like to go, and I think everybody I've talked to wants to see the developers have skin in the game.
Yep.
If we're gonna flood the place with people, let's do it the right way. Okay, so it's important who we have in these chairs that's sitting in the courthouse.
And let me just say this idea that I'm proposing isn't some anti-business, anti-growth idea. Smart counties are already doing this throughout the country, and these developers know who the suckers are
Exactly.
and who the ones that they're going to have to pony up some money. And it's just at this point, in this point of the game, we've seen too much of what goes on with huge development. And, people say all the time, well, you can't stop it. You can't stop it. Well, you know what? You can improve codes and you can make it make more sense for our community. And sometimes that's just enough to stop some uncontrolled growth. And those are the kind of commissioners, that's the kind of mayor that we need, that's thinking about us, the voters, that's thinking about the community. We can still keep our small town atmosphere. We can still keep a lot of the things that we have as long as any type of growth is done smart. Yeah.
And one thing that I've noticed, and I hope we're at a place of transition, we've got enough low quality. Okay. The low quality is maxed out, the best I can tell. It's time for us to turn the page to some high quality stuff. I see that maybe happening a little bit. I hope we can. That all gets down to planning. We've got to plan properly.
Yeah.
One thing that going back to the budget and the Bedford County budget, we were talking about line items. What would get us to a point to where we would not be willing to look at a line item budget and vote that way?
Well, I think you know the answer to that.
Well, what?
Well, it's just
I've speculated on that, but I look at it and I'm saying this is just common sense. Why not?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I think that special interest and personal advantage has a lot to do with that.
If we're going to ask the people to pay this money, okay. When I say we, I'm associating myself. I'm sitting on the commission.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ask somebody to pay X number of dollars in property taxes. That's their money.
Mm-hmm.
It's still their money when the county government gets their hands on it.
And it needs to be scrutinized even more, I think, once it goes to the county.
Exactly. Okay, so to say I'm not willing to vote line item and discuss line items on the floor of the commission and have some debate on this is wrong or right, I've got a problem. We have a problem as a whole.
Yeah. And I think it would open up a lot of dialogue, David. I mean, when you think about each line item, there's a lot of discussion, a lot of robust discussion and disagreement, which is healthy, by the way, to ferret out what's best for the community. But I think it's a true opportunity. And like I said earlier, it may actually prove to be better as far as overall, I guess, maybe things that departments get, whether it's raises, whether it's new equipment, whatever. There may be more money there than we realize because it's not going to pork and special projects.
Well, let me ask you this, and this is not necessarily Bedford County, but I've just seen it with government in general. And it's prevalent here in Bedford County. The way I understand it, 5% raise across the board. Being a business person, the only place I see something like that is in a union. Okay. How do government entities, are they unionized automatically? Or is there such thing as merit raises and individual reviews? Or are we just going to do it as a group? I mean, to me, you got to, as a business person, and as somebody that's really trying to be the most efficient, you would want to evaluate employees and give raises based on good jobs. How does the government escape doing that?
That's one question that I don't have an answer for, because I know that government moves slower. It's not a business, and we can both admit that, and that's okay. But I think when it comes to annual reviews of employees, surely we're doing mid-year reviews. Surely we're doing end-of-the-year reviews.
Do we have reviews?
Surely there's metrics associated with those reviews. Now, I would say that is happening, but I think to your point, it needs to be looked at on an individual basis.
Man, if I got somebody that's doing a heck of a job, and I don't want them locked into a 5% raise. Maybe I want to give them 7, and then somebody else over here 3, and somebody else over here 2. If my department can't do that, I'm handcuffed into just like, I'm going to reward mediocrity across the board. And that's what it produces, mediocrity. All right, so I'm just saying this from a standpoint of practical business. And if you can't single out and reward somebody for doing a good job and busting their tail, you're recognizing that person.
That's what you want to do.
That's what you want to do.
Yes.
And it helps everybody when you do that, because it makes everybody strive to do better.
You want that leader, whether it's in, the EMS service, whether it's in the police department, wherever they are, and they are just absolutely crushing it. You want to be able to give that person a raise, a good raise that they've deserved.
Right.
And then, hey, that kind of trickles throughout the department, right? Hey, man, Jared Smith over here got a 6% raise. What do I need to do that? Well,
exactly.
This is what you need to do. And you sit down with your manager or your supervisor, and he lays it out or she lays it out. Hey, this is what you need to do to get to this next level. So, I mean, I'm not opposed to metric-based raise system. I think that's fair because everybody else does it.
Yeah. I think it's something that needs to be looked at. I don't know
versus
that there's
just a flat.
I mean, when we had the big tax increase, everybody just got raised. The water rose for everybody to get everybody caught up. Well, this time around, we're not getting everybody caught up. We're supposedly already caught up, and then we're just going to give a flat 5% raise across the board. I'm just wondering how many other people in the ordinary workforce are getting a 5% raise automatically just because they showed up. I just don't know. I'm just asking.
Yeah.
I'm just asking, Brent.
That's not happening in my world.
All right. Okay. All right. So we'll change subjects. All right. Let's just look back at the history of Beaufort County. And you were involved in some of this and came in on the tail of it. We have been extravagant on some things and then pretty poor in some other things as far as expenditures go.
Yeah.
And it all seems like it depends on who you are that presents it.
Yeah, absolutely.
As to how it's received and how it's pushed through.
That goes back to the factions things I was talking about earlier.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so I'm sitting here looking at a juvenile detention center. It's a luxury item based on the way I see it. Based on the numbers.
Not even mandated by the state.
No.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there's a lot of money in incarceration.
There's not a lot of money in that, and there's not a lot of money in thinking that it's a hotel room either.
No.
I mean, so we went from this $10 million budget down to this $6 million budget, and it was going to get X number of square feet, and then all of a sudden the X number of square feet got cut in half, but the price stayed the same, and we're okay with that. Okay, well, we needed 11,000 square feet. We're getting it cutting down to 5,500, and it's okay. Why did we need 11,000 and now we're cut down to 50? This type stuff. Okay. I'm zooming in on that one because it just crawls all over me to think that we're going to toss that kind of money around. But it's not just the $11 million, 11,000 square feet to 55. And it's going to cost $6 million. It's how much it's going to cost to staff it, how much it's going to cost to operate it, how much in the hole it's going in every year, and then keeping that building maintained. You want to build a $6 million building and let it dilapidate? Or do you want to try to maintain it so it's going to last? That's going to cost X number every year, and that's going to cost Aunt Susie out in the country X number of dollars every year.
And it wouldn't be so bad, David, if it was mandated, if we had to have it, like you just got to bite the bullet sometimes. But this one was very faction oriented. Certain people came out smelling like a rose on this one.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
and so I think that when you look at the factions, when you look at these projects that just aren't mandated, it takes away from our roads.
Yeah.
It takes away from our police. It takes away from our teachers and our fire department. And people, I think, are starting to maybe see some of that, make those connections. And I'm hoping that as we move forward as a county, line item budgets will be supported and more transparency. It's an overused word, I know, but that is a great way to make things more transparent. And that way people can see where every red cent they give to the county is going. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Well, I hear certain county officials now say the word transparency, and it sounds like it's a punchline or a cliche.
Mm-hmm.
It's neither of those. It's an absolute, you have a definition of what that means. If something's transparent, you can see through it. You can see it. Okay.
Yep.
And that is what probably one of the biggest concerns and the biggest disappointments I hear from just the average guy out there. We don't know what's going on. We never know what's going on.
Oh, yeah.
And even they're trying to find out what's going on. They can't find out what's going on. They just see the results of it.
Right.
So I think, and not to use that cliche or that term too often, I think anybody that serves the public should stand up and ask the question, what concerns do you guys have about, if I'm a commissioner in District 5, in District 5, what concerns do you guys have? Even to other commissioners, if I'm a mayor or if I'm a department head, if I'm the sheriff, I'm going to say, what concerns do y'all have concerning this, what my department is doing? And have an open dialogue. That brings a wall down. Yeah. That doesn't say, I ain't taking your questions. You know what I'm saying? And that's been the way it's been for a long time. And I'm not picking on anybody individually. I'm just saying overall, there's this been talk to the hand. Okay. I think you start taking that and you invite questions rather than try to throw a wall up to questions. I think people start to take at ease a little bit. Say, okay, that's good. Let's have a dialogue. Dialogue needs to continue through from now on going forward, because Brent, when you're spending this kind of money and you don't have a dialogue surrounding it, people lose trust
real quick.
Yep. And I think that's where we sit today.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I'm standing.
Hard to disagree with that. Hard to disagree.
All right. Before we move on and finish up for the for this session, Brent, I'd like to hear from our sponsors one more time.
Let's do it.
580 Graphics and Dennis Young Insurance. We're going to hear from them. We're going to come back wind things down.
Looking to make your brand stand out? At 580 Graphics in Shelbyville, we turn your ideas into bold, professional results. From custom logo design to screen printing, embroidery, vehicle wraps, decals, banners, and signage, we handle it all in-house with precision and fast turnaround. Whether you're a small business, a church group, a sports team, or a growing company, our experienced design team works with you every step of the way to bring a vision to life. We don't just print graphics. We help you get noticed. Exceptional service, eye-catching design, results that speak for themselves. Visit 580 Graphics today and let your brand make a statement.
Get the results you want with the personalized service you deserve at Dennis Young Insurance Agency.
As a local independent agency, we offer coverage from several different companies, including Erie. So whether it's auto, home, life, personal, or business, we can find the right coverage to meet your unique insurance needs. And with a rate lock advantage, your rates won't go up as long as you do not change drivers, autos, or addresses. Contact us at Dennis Young Insurance Agency, insuring Shelbyville and surrounding areas since 1988.
Okay, Brent, we were talking here off camera about some of the things we just talked about, and I think we want to bring this back up. I mentioned the Juvenile Detention Center. I mean, there's an idea out there thinking that if we house people from outside of Bedford County, that we're going to make money. And when you
wait a minute, haven't we already tried that?
Well, yeah, it's out here at the Taj Mahal we have out here that cost $40 whatever million back 12, 15 years, whenever it was. That huge anchor. Well, we've got it. Okay. So we can house, we've got one of the best jails or the largest jails. I don't know how things, I'd have to ask Nakia how things are running in there. But at the same time, you look at that, and there's always been a mindset that if we house more prisoners, if we do the incarcerations, that we're going to make money. But there's nobody really, and I know Robert Daniel did figure this out on what it would cost per inmate maybe a few months ago. Josh, looked at it, and we looked at over at Rutherford County what was going on there with their juvenile detention center. It costs X number of dollars per night for every person that comes in there, and the amount of money you collect off of it does not cover that cost, and not even wear close, because it's more than just what it costs somebody to feed somebody. It's more than the food, okay? And you start looking at actual cost. The people that are formulating this in their mind, they're not grasping what it's really costing. So you get to this building that you have that just costs $6 million. Well, it's going to end up costing you $1.5 million, $2 million a year going forward forever. Okay. So why do we think that we're going to make money by being in that business?
There's no money in incarceration.
No, we need to run from that. Now I know the state requires some of us, of that stuff.
Like the county jail was required.
Right.
Yeah.
Required.
Yeah.
Okay. That's because of our capacity.
Right.
They sold us on building a jail to hold 400 people so that they could pawn some people off on us, I think, down the road. And that's what's happening. And we're having to absorb that. We get this little fee, but it's costing twice what that fee is. Mm-hmm. And I don't care how you want to say it doesn't, that we make money. Robert Daniel came out and it's basically double. Mm-hmm. Okay. He did the math on it. So all that mindset like that, we've got to start tightening all that up, Brent, going forward financially.
Agreed.
Yeah. All right. How do you think the election's going to go as far as turnout? What do you see happening from now till then? Do you think we're going to have the typical turnout for this cycle of election?
I want to say no. I want to say that we're going to have a little bit better turnout because of this highly contentious or contended governor's race and the congressional race, with us being in this new congressional district. I think we're going to get a little bit more turnout. To your point, I don't think it's going to be as bad as it's been in the past, but I think it's going to be a little bit better because I think it's just, there's so much energy out there around some of these candidates, not only here on the local level, but on the state level and on the congressional level. So I do think we may see a, 5 to 10% more turnout. And I know that's bullish there. So,
well, that's really not a lot when you start looking at the numbers. It's feasible for that to happen.
I hope it happens.
I think I'm hearing more about the sheriff's race, the mayor race, certain seats in the county commission. I hear more chatter about that than I do about the governor's race. Mm. I think that it has honed in locally, and that the people that are voting, I forgot about the governor's race. Okay. But they're going to vote for the sheriff, and they're going to go for the mayor. They're going to go vote for the commissioners. I think we have turned a corner as far as the chatter goes. Right. Now, I don't know about actually putting feet on that and showing up. We'll just wait and see. Yeah. But I think the chatter and the attention is local, the county.
Yeah, maybe we'll do another show in 6 or 7 weeks and see what the turnout was.
We'll
see
start,
and see where we land.
Yeah. And hopefully we'll be able to cover the election that night and have the returns. I know Josh is probably planning on helping with that, and there's some others, and we'll probably be sitting around this table doing that, and it'll be interesting to see how we compare to the last election that's comparable to this election.
Yeah.
The last county mayor election I'd like to look at and just see actually. And, there's still some candidates that hadn't even poked their head out yet. Mm. And here we are getting close to.
Who do you think the front runners are?
I'm not going to say. Well, I think you look at the three main people that are in the race, in the mayor's race. You know who they are. And I think, obviously the sheriff is a 2-man race. We know that. Right. And you look at all the other districts, those that have come out and have been making the circuit, they're the conversation. Mm-hmm. Okay. In every contested county district. So, the chatter, depending on what part of the county you're in, you're over here in the northeast part, it's about 1. You're in the southeast corner, it's about 5. Mm-hmm. You're in the southwest corner, it's about 4. Yeah. You don't hear too much about in city, okay? Which I think most city people look and say, the county doesn't matter. They don't even know they have a county commissioner, Brent. I talked to several people this week.
True.
It's still, they don't even know they have a county commissioner. They live in the city of Shelbyville. But you look at the southwest corner, and it's 4. And you look out directly west and northwest, it's 3. And you go around to the direct north to the east side of 231, and it's 2. You hear the chatter in those, but the city, you don't hear much about those districts.
Yeah, and then don't forget about the I guess the swath of people that don't really even know that there's a big election coming up.
It's mind-boggling.
I've heard that over the past. Well, there's an election coming up. Well, who else running?
Yeah.
I mean, and so I think it's easy as a candidate and as somebody that's covering the news to think that, everybody knows, but a lot of people don't know.
The people in Flat Creek and Normandy know.
They know.
The people in Bell Buckle and War Trace know, and Normandy. The people in Wheel and Pleasant Grove, they know. And these are the districts that I'm talking about. And you go out Unionville, they know. But the city is like almost in a coma to the county election. People living inside the city limits. And that's mind-boggling to me, Brent. I don't know how you change that. It's an education process that we've been woefully inadequate on over the years. So anyway, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
It will. And it's exciting too. I mean, it's our God-given right living here in the United States to be able to vote. And I'm telling you right now, David, these local elections, if you're really concerned about how your everyday life is impacted, your local mayor and county commission are your biggest impact on how your day-to-day life is what's going on in your day-to-day life.
It's something that affects every single day.
Yeah.
What Trump does might not affect me for 2 months.
Right.
What the governor does might not affect me for a month, or maybe even not for a year. Some governors pass by, you don't even know they're in office. You don't even know it.
Exactly.
But your county commissioner, by George, they're up there representing you or not every month at every meeting. And then between at the committee meetings, there's something going on nonstop. And for the life of me, I don't understand why somebody would bury their head in the sand and not pay attention to that.
Exactly. I agree.
All right.
Huge vote coming
I'm
up.
off
Huge
my
vote.
Soapbox. All right.
Sounds good. Sounds
all
good.
Right. Thanks everybody for
Thank
watching.
you.
Thanks, Brent, for sitting down. We're going to come back again and have another conversation.
Sounds good, David. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for watching. See you guys later.